face going to Iran. What drives you to go back?
Well, it is personal because I see that how, as Puyan said, you develop a certain viewpoint when you live here. I am living here for 4 years, but you sometimes, from time to time, you really need fresh ideas. You really need different environments to inspire you, to give you a good idea, to make you learn something. And I see it more. I enjoy challenge. I like it. I like the fact that I was not a doctor. I was not holding a PhD, but I gained the respect. It's also a personal challenge. But when I see how people, when I also see like how just for one coffee we would meet, and I could give an example of a similar project which I saw. I just had the advantage of seeing this project because I lived in Berlin, which is a startup hype. And when I see how it changes, you know, the view of someone, like they get better ideas, they get inspired, or you meet someone and you tell them, wow, what you're doing is actually going to be successful, or no, I think you should change this and that. You can have impact, and that impact maybe I can't feel it anywhere else than in Iran, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great talks. I enjoyed a lot. I wanted to ask, I didn't know anything about the startup stuff in Iran, to my shame. Actually, I'm IT, but I have never heard about it. Thank you very much. What kind of project, or what kind of products came out? Is any product what you can say it's startup A, B, C made this? Maybe no.
So there is a lot of now. What I came in touch with was internet and mobile startups, and there is a lot of gaming startups. For example, there is some mobile games that are pretty successful in Iran, and because they have a little bit difficulties because there is no official iPhone, there is no App Store, there is no Google Play Store, so you have to go on Bazaar. So there's actually the founder of Bazaar, the guy who made the App Store in Iran, right? There's a lot of things missing. So there was e-commerce missing, the e-collar came along, and they have 70% market share of e-commerce now in Iran, doing tons of profit, but there's gonna be new ones who disrupt the market. So you see a lot of things missing still there. So people see that too, and they get inspiration from outside of Iran and try to bring it back. And it's not the typical copycat thing. It's like you can't just copy something, you can't just copy Amazon and bring it to Iran. You have to adapt it to the local culture, to the local internet is not that fast, right? Mobile banking or online banking is really hard, but it's getting there. There's 2 banks that do online banking, and there's others you can like print out a code and go to an ATM and pay it. So there's ways to do that. I don't know many startups there, but there is a lot going on, and there is a lot coming out. There's not big successes, no big successes yet.
As Puyan said, there is so much potential, especially for people who are experts in IT, I think. It's so much potential to invest on those startups because there is still so much untouched. Of course, they see what's happening and they do, like with Digikala or the Bazaar that you mentioned. When it's not there, they make Iranian version of it. But they really do the cultural adaptation that you need for it as well, which I think is really brilliant to see. And that's why I really urge everyone to search more about what's happening in the startup scene because it's pretty awesome.
Before going to the next question, actually I wanted to ask if Sarah could also join us if it's possible, if you would like. Yeah, great. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing is that like you're a cool guy, like young, motivation is nice, to get it at the end of the thing. And it's really a businessman, like after having scientific talks. So like for instance, my story, like it was around 2 years ago. You know, I finished my master. I was studying Euro, and then I was like, oh, maybe it's time. I don't know what I want to do. I want to go back. You know, start something there. So I went back home. I did a startup. You know, and it was going, but then I was like, yeah, but maybe it's not the time for me. You know, I want more challenge for myself. You know, so I resigned. You know, I sold out what I was owning at that moment. So I came back to Europe, you know, to start another PhD and basically thinking of myself. So I'm going to make my point now. So, you know, like in the previous talks, you know, we were hearing more from Pujan or Mr. Marufi that, you know, you have to make up yourself, you have to develop yourself, you have to be the strong guy, you know, and then the source is going to approach you, you know, and then you can make up. And then it's not only that the sources approach you, you're going to be this strong person that can make the connection and networks approaches you, you know. And now here it's like, you're coming to decide that, you know, you have to make your networks now, you know, be just super active, go back, go on, like make the connections, you know, this connection makes you powerful, you know. I see that both of the stories, you know, I mean, they're colliding, I mean, they have a way in common. But now it's me, Now it's me that I'm back in the science, you know, I'm doing my research, you know, and I did a startup, and I think many of us have this in common, that we are in science, you know. I'm not going to do a startup, I mean, I don't have time for it, you know. I can't go make a lot of networking, I'm not a businessman, you know. I don't want it at the moment at all. So what would it be for me now, you know? What could it do? How would it make a connection? Maybe I forgot your name, sorry, but yeah, sorry, Kumar. Yeah, this wasn't challenging. I think I'm not sure if I could make it. So basically, I was addressing the question to the last two speakers, but I saw that you have insights, maybe. So I thought maybe you can also. So yeah, it's a general question for me. So whoever thinks can answer better. Thanks.
No, I can take on, and I think it's. See, what we have to understand is a few things. One is, first of all, you have to look at yourself, what you're looking at. Every case, every human being is different. So that's one very philosophical aspect in general. Networks are very important, we all know, to be really successful. But I want to mention a couple of things, and that probably helps you get answer, because I cannot give you answer exactly. If you ask an investor whether he would invest, of course, everyone looks for A-grade idea and A-grade team. But if you ask an investor, would you put your money in A-grade idea and B-grade team? Or would you put money in A-grade team and B-grade idea? What would be the answer? Anyone?
Great idea.
No. The money will go to A-grade team, because in the life cycle of an entrepreneur, there's so many ups and downs. Entrepreneurs do not, they plan for 5 years, they present that, but you live the life on a daily basis and a weekly basis. There's so many ups and downs, and that's why people look at, first priority is to the team. And now I'm talking about team as well. You mentioned about being scientist. One person cannot do everything. So if you think that you can rule the world all alone, you cannot do that. Except the fact, you need a group of people to work with you. You need complementary skills. So if you have a scientific idea, but you don't know how to commercialize, how to set up business, you need to partner. That's what we do in business, and that's what you have to do in a startup. And when I talked about this A-grade team, is essentially talking about people who have all the complementary skills. About the finance, about the accounting, about the particular topic, the science topic, about the commercialization, about go-to-market, about strategy, everything. You need to have bundling of that skills. Whether you have all the skills in many people, or you have all these skills in 3-4 people, that depends on the roadmap, but you need a team, and you need complementary skills together. And if you have an idea, you want to start something, that's what you want, look at what strength you have, and what additional strength you potentially need. And that's where mentors come into the picture to help you understand what you need more and how you go about it. So I give you a practical example as well. I'm an Inside Alone. We run a science entrepreneurship program there. essentially we realized there's a lot of scientists who are great and very great. I respect them, but they have no idea how to commercialize, how to bring that idea to market. And that's where you get it to the mentors, to the workshop, and get the right people with you, and then move on from there. I hope the perspective gives you what you can actually do, but I cannot answer exactly what you can do, but this is how you have to think about it.
Yeah, I think there's also, I mean, Mona was talking about the win-win, but I think when you think about helping people back in Iran, you shouldn't think about any win. You should think about just what is, you don't have to have a goal. Like I was going back for travel just to see my family, and I thought, okay, let's meet for one day, go to one event. And then they're like, what are you doing this week? So I was planned for the whole week doing podcasts and teaching classes, and it was super much fun. It was so much more fun than any other time I visited Iran, because I met a lot of fun people, and I'm not going to profit from them at all, I guess. But it felt cool giving back, giving to some people. That's why startup mentors do most things for free.
Exactly, that's a good question, because we are here for the brain game, huh?
Yeah.
For the brain game, huh? So that's the thing, because starting out sounds like, I want to make a company, I want to make, but this is not what I'm here for,
No, it's, I wouldn't have a goal like as helping, as a brain gain giver, let's say. It shouldn't be your goal to gain anything back. You gain a lot of things back. I think anyone in his life, in his or her life, should give something, and the love and the thanks you receive from that is so much more worth than anything you can get. And there is some percentage of life you should always give to that, and I think, or give to helping, charity, and not only money, but it can be all kinds of things. It can be intellectual capital if you're very knowledgeable about a thing. It can be money, it can be financial capital, but it also can be social capital. If you know a lot of people, you can introduce people to them.
Yeah. Thank you very much for all this session. I really enjoyed it. I have a general question. It's probably not necessarily Iran, but most of the time when I hear something about startups and entrepreneurships, right? All the people always talk about IT, all about web service, app development, especially for development. I found a country to have 10,000 app developers is not a development procedure, right? And it's what's always I found missing. It's really other sectors of industry. Right? Agriculture, it's really huge shortage in packaging. No one think about or does anything. The other one is tourism. 10 years ago, 7 friends of mine, we went to Iran. Sorry to say, but it was a shame to find no really clean toilet in the whole country. 3-4 years ago, I went, and then I found out that in Tehran, Autobahn, there was a new facility, and then they were really printing money there. Yeah, and I was wondering really, aren't there other people who really go and build up toilets or other facilities on the road, right? And it's the same in transportation. It's many other, but this really goes on my nerve, because everybody say, yeah, I've developed this app, great, right, great. But development, I think, needs some more sectors of industry. I was just wondering, or is there any other programs? I mean, you guys that you went there, were there other things than app development and web service or so on? Thank you very much.
I'm an IT guy, I'm a tech guy, so I can only talk about IT, but there is a thing, I still have a point, because look at how IT is emerging nowadays, and where IT is used and how IT can help you, or technology at all can help you in all other sectors. Logistics is all IT now. Without IT, you can't do the logistics you do right now. Right? But there is you have a point. You definitely have a point, and we talked about this before in a call, that entrepreneurship is not only IT entrepreneurship, and I think especially you see that in India. When you look at entrepreneurs in India, they're doing a lot more that is non-IT. Maybe you can give some more insights.
I'm also an IT guy. The challenge is that you might not feel credible when I respond to that. But anyway, I can answer some of my personal experiences and what I see. Yes, entrepreneurship is required in every space, every it's not only IT. It just happened to be that IT is everywhere, and because there's success of IT everywhere, you try to bundle every success with IT. So if you take, and then you have examples of WhatsApp and Facebook. Suddenly you see WhatsApp. What is so great in WhatsApp that they get 19.5 billion, right? So there are very extreme successes which drives let me complete. So I think that this reason is IT, but there are a lot of activities which happens, and we somehow don't know that. And I give you another example, practical example. I'm personally, and this is also related to diaspora, Germany is very good in vocational training programs. Their whole industry runs on vocational training programs, and it's initiated by companies like Mercedes, BASF, and SAP, and so on. I personally believe that's a great model, what they do, which can be implemented in India. So I'm personally supporting, there's a company we founded 2 years back to essentially talk about vocational training. And I'm intentionally not looking at IT, I'm doing it for agriculture, construction, and textile business. Of course, there's a reason for that, not doing IT because I work at SAP, so I don't want any conflict of interest, but also the reason, but there are a lot of successes, and it's just that you don't see outside. Maybe IT people are more outgoing, and there are very extreme successes. As I said, the main reason is extreme success. But if you go deeper inside in the entrepreneurial world, you will find a lot of other success. It just happens to be.
No, just wondering whether there are any other
Actually, I wanted exactly to ask Mana about the social entrepreneurs.
Yeah, because I'm actually not an IT person, and as I said, I'm very into social innovation, and this is exactly what I would like to see more in countries where there are a lot of potential. You mentioned toilets, and I actually know a group of Germans who toured with bike through Iran to India. They invented these very clean new toilets, and they wanted to implement it there, and it was successful. And also, I know of a new, I forgot the name. I was really before the seminar. I wanted to find it out. It's like a Pampers. It's new, also startup in Iran. It's like Pampers for babies, infants. So it's not IT. So you can find stuff like that. But that's true. There are a lot of good examples internationally of social innovations. But I think the IT part is just, let's think of it like this. What you need, stuff you need, is just a desk and your computer. You just need good developers, you need good ideas, you need people who test it and get feedbacks. So that's why it's kind of maybe the easiest way to start off. And there is still a lot to be done in that sector. And they're also very well spoken, and they tell what they do.
But I think maybe just talk about entrepreneurship, it's just about the money, right? You said a very little investment and so on one could do. But when you talk about development, right, it shouldn't be just the money. There should be others.
I mean, it's just a point, if I have to be credible, I somehow relate to IT. But I fully agree, the point is essentially there's extreme successes where you can talk about it. And yes, you are absolutely right, it's very easy to start. And that's the reason you see. But as I said, if you go a bit deeper, there's a lot of things. I don't have that challenge now. I initially thought, but I don't see that myself.
Thank you. So I would like to grab the opportunity and pose a question to our German guest, whose name I have unfortunately forgotten. Sarah. Perfect. So the thing is, it seems as if you are exactly on the other side of the road. So we were always thinking of just getting out of the country because of the situation, because we didn't see the opportunities, the vacancies there. And now that we are here, I'm sure even for the other students, most of the discussions are, okay, what is the motivation like to go back to Iran and work there? Okay, because now we are like in the first world country, and we have some opportunities here. But still, I can see that among the students, that they love to go back, but there are a lot of obstacles, okay, to just get around them. It's not that easy. Now my question is, what was your motivation to go there and work there? Because
for sure I'm going to learn a lot about that. Thank you.
I've been to Iran before, 6 years ago, because I was part of a team founding a student organization called ISAC there. It's 50 years old, and I was a member here in Germany. And an Iranian guy living in Cologne said, I want to have ISAC in Iran. And friends of mine started this, and somehow, at some point, I decided that I want to be part of this team, of the German team, and I said it's a stupid idea to be part of the team without having been in Iran. So I went there in March 2008 for Nuruz. So I spent time with lots of Iranians in the families. I celebrated Chahaja Mesuri. Sorry for my bad pronunciations. And I somehow fell in love with Iran during these days, even though I saw all the challenges, because I was living with Iranian girls and families, and then spent a lot of time talking about all the obstacles, all the problems, and I'm fully aware that for a German blonde girl who's definitely not Iranian, it's much easier to get around in Iran. And then I came back in summer 2008 for 3 months, doing an internship for a non-profit there, and I liked it very much, and since that time I always said I want to come back. And during the last 2 years I was starting and helping to build a startup incubator here in Cologne. It's a mixture of a co-working space where young founders and startups get support, workshops and everything they need. And somehow by accident, and because Puya was there, he was introducing me to Mawson like beginning of May, and suddenly we were talking on Skype, and I said I always wanted to go back to Iran. And somehow after like 3 or 4 Skype calls, I'm now waiting for my visa and hopefully getting to Tehran in end of July. And why I do it? Because I'm absolutely curious, and everything I heard during the last month about Iran and how it changed during the last couple of years, for me it sounds positive, and everybody who comes back, like Puya, like Daniel, they are telling so extremely good stories about people being absolutely motivated to change something, to move forward, to live their ideas, to make things happen, and that's, for me, it's an absolutely great opportunity, and I'm very, very thankful that I'm hopefully allowed to go there and help building this and being part of this, because I think it's a great movement coming.
Thank you, the speakers. I have a question for Sarah too. Mr. Kumar had a question for us. If the grade A idea and the grade B team, how do you think you're going to work as an accelerator in Iran? Can you distinguish between grade A and grade B? Can you distinguish between grade A and grade B ideas and grade A and grade B teams? I can see that you can distinguish between grade A and grade F ideas. But is the difference between grade A and grade B so big? Or Mr. Kumar, can you comment on that? Maybe you can.
I think if I can clarify what I said, given a choice, of course we all look for A grade idea and A grade team. But and this is not my opinion, this is based on certain surveys which I have seen and done by some professors. If you ask investors, and this is a choice, you have to take the choice. It's not that we're looking for A and A. We have 2 options. Option one is A grade idea and B grade team. Option 2 is A grade team and B grade idea. You have no exit, you have to take an option. So what would you do? And I said, investors, if they are forced, of course they can back out, that's a general thing. And this is all relative. I'm not saying B grade idea means it is 90% down. It could be 1% down, 0.5% down. So you have to look at it. Given the forced decision you have to take, what would investors prefer? They would prefer A grade team and B grade idea. It does not mean that B grade idea and the difference between A grade idea and B grade idea is so far because they have an option to back out. Here we are forcing people to respond to that. And why this was done is, what I know at least the background is, essentially we are all obsessed with A grade ideas, but we miss on team. And most of the failure happens because idea was always good, but the team was bad. So this point to be made is that you need a very strong team, complementary team to be successful. Now maybe you.
In my interview, I was asked, how do you decide, or how would you decide which teams you accept for the accelerator? And I said, and I have an example from Cologne, I would say it's definitely about the team, because if a team isn't working, the best idea isn't working. And I have the feeling that it's very important that it's a team that believes in the idea, that fully, truly believes in what they are doing, ideally solving a problem they have themselves. So, because they are 150,000% into. If they are solving their own problem, their own challenges, their only things they want to have a better solution for, and therefore the idea doesn't have to be super innovative or something. But if they follow their dreams or their problems and try to find solutions for that, that's the best indicator for me personally for a good team, for a good or hopefully successful team.
Yeah, thank you very much. I can see that if a team is not working, certainly you will not go for that. But between two working teams, that one of them is working slightly better, I think you cannot distinguish. And the point being, I think successful entrepreneurs are not those that just took the right choice at the right time. They just tried different things. That means you go, and this is all saying, you don't put all your goods in one basket. So you try different things, and one successful one can cover for 10 failed. And I mean, we should not forget about that. So that was what I wanted to get to.
Any question?
I have a general question.
All right.
I'll just talk about it. There were a lot of interesting and valuable information on the slides. Do we get them afterwards, or do you put them on the website or something? Yeah.
Or you can find it on our website. Maybe we can post that.
If you put them
on the Iranian Brain Game website, you can find that.
Cool. Great. Thanks.
I had a comment. Actually, it's more under your direction. Ireza, right? This is your name?
Yeah.
Ireza, yeah. There is a small side story to Mana's story, which I just wanted to mention here. Once upon a time, I came back. Now, kind of some students are doing a dual study between Bonn and Aachen. So through them, some of them are already here. Through them, I got to know to Isa Aachen, and that came also with the whole last year whole project, the ideas, etc. Through Isa, once I don't know where Nima sits. Once I don't know how came that we talk on Skype or something, and he told me about the startup scene in Iran. And he just decided himself. So he didn't do it like asking the organization, Isa, is it okay? He just invited the people from Iran to join our Skype conference, like internal conference to diaspora, which we're like, wow, okay, great. So hello guys from Tehran. And then later we had like some talks. So he connected us to the startup scene. And later I talked to one of them. And just talking, and at one point I said, yeah, last year I was in Berlin in the workshop, social innovation workshop. I met an Iranian girl doing design thinking. Do you know what design thinking? Do you know what actually in Iran? I said, no, actually we heard something about that, but not really. So I said, yeah, maybe I'll contact her. So And these two, like, Mana got connected to those people from Tehran, and then actually I was so surprised because like after 2 weeks I saw like design thinking workshop in the University of Tehran. So what happened? But that is very interesting. I mean, we came actually to Puya, just met today. We came also to Mana and to Nima, so they find that Puya is very active. The role of the actual work was done by Mana really going back to Tehran and by the people doing the startup thing. But really for us in between as a network nuts, it was really, I don't know, a few minutes. I was just thinking, but also a little thinking, okay, what are these people saying, listening to them, what do they need, and do I know maybe in my network someone who could help, or just, you know, it was actually exactly what Puya is saying. It doesn't matter that, no, but I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm not an investor, or I don't know, it's like, I mean, I don't have time going 3 months back to Iran, but there's a lot of things, even with small, like, really, not lots of time, it's possible. It's through this amazing world of networked and the internet. Sure.
So actually, it's a really small world, and how I know Puyan, for instance, is from Daniel, which I met randomly on the web conference in Tehran, and these networks are working. But I think this is the first, at least for me, this is the first time I am networking with the Iranian community, and that has a really good reason for it, because it's for a cause, it's for, you know that you get things done, you know that if I need someone, good ideas for, I don't know, an NGO, someone who has a lot of expertise, I will ask Sanas, for instance, or she might put me in contact with someone else. So I have this feeling that a conference like this, because it's around a cause that we want to figure out the ways each of us could contribute, or maybe not, it's just like a network, and you just met new people, and that's it. Instead of somehow complaining and thinking like, oh, it's not gonna happen, we should somehow like put it behind us and never contact again. So I think like this for me is also a new experience. Like since 2 years I'm doing this. Like before, when I was living in Berlin, I didn't do it at all because it was more political, and I really enjoy the fact that now you actually get connected with people no matter from where they come. Sometimes they end up in Tehran as well, which is pretty cool. But at the end you help each other a lot. That's